We'll be right back. Better? Worse?
Yeah. That was an ending.
It was an ending. Welcome, everybody, on this wonderful Monday night at the start of the NLCS. And your local Philadelphia Phillies facing off against the Arizona Diamondbacks. This is not a sports podcast, although it started off like a sports podcast. But we want to thank everybody who comes out and watches us. And by comes out, I mean pushes the stuff on your phone or your computer.
See, and look, already Charles and Mom and Dom all already here.
Thank you, everyone. And make sure you do the like and the subscribe thing and keep an eye out for those videos
that Frank's working on.
It's
really the editing part that he's struggling with.
Actually, I edited my Legos today, but
there's been 2 Marvel series since he did his list, so he has to keep editing.
Well, see, I can't make an incomplete list, right? So, how are you tonight?
I'm good. Been busy.
Me too.
Busy, but I've been good. Played a couple gigs last weekend. Watched some stuff.
Yes, you did.
Had a birthday last week for my oldest, and wow.
You know what?
And
I'm
watching.
I'm not even upset about Dom.
Watching Dom throw some shade at you in the chat already. It's a good night so far.
At least I'm not a fan of the New York Giants. Go ahead, Jack. What were you saying?
That's fine. I mean, they played so masterfully yesterday. They actually played really well against the Bills last night. I couldn't turn the game off. So the Giants did actually have a decent showing this week. No.
Oh, okay.
No, they played like the Eagles.
Fair point.
But yeah, so I did all that. The Walking Dead tied up the Daryl Dixon show this weekend, which was fantastic. This 6-episode format, like I've said before, really, really works for these shows. And I think I would assume we'll talk a little bit about what was going on up 95 over the weekend. So we'll talk more about that when we get there. And how about you, man? What did you do this weekend?
Does a 6-episode series work when there's actual storytelling in it?
Oh my God, so well. So well when there's actual storytelling.
I had the weekend just kind of blurred together. I got nothing done that I wanted to really.
Except for watching all those shows.
I finished Loki.
Okay.
Season 1. No, I finished Loki, and I could not. I have to be in the right frame of mind to watch Gen V. I really do. And I wasn't there this weekend. I was a little scatterbrained, and I went out and saw a friend of mine who's doing an acoustic thing this weekend, not far from the house.
It's considerate of him to play near your house finally.
I love that. It was great. Weird bar, but okay. I didn't watch any more of Gen V. I actually started the 2nd episode, and I was like, I wasn't able to focus on it. So
that second screen viewing gets you every time.
That will come hopefully this week. There's not a lot going on this week. Played a little modern
900 World Series or NLCS games this week.
There's a lot of NLCS games this week. There's Flyers games this week. There's soccer this week down at the link.
Modern Warfare though?
Modern Warfare 3 basically is re-releasing all the original Modern Warfare 2 maps and charging us $70 for it that I already paid for. But that's a whole different thing. The beta was this weekend.
Got it.
I kind of dug into a little bit of video games. Assassin's Creed Mirage is really, really, really good.
Okay. I've heard good things about it. It's set in the Middle East, right?
It's set in the Middle East. Set about it was a couple hundred years before the original one with Altair, the original Assassin's Creed. Other than that, watching the Phillies, dude. That's what it's about right now. It's watching the Phillies, who we're going to dump out of here at 8:00 ish to watch them tonight.
Yeah, I think we only have one show
One
this
show, but I got a
week.
bunch of news.
There is a bunch of news from up the street. Dom asking us first though. Hey, you guys ready for Spider-Man 2 this week?
That's the video game. I am not. I actually never finished the original Spider-Man
Oh my god,
because that's on PlayStation. I'm an Xbox guy, so I
it
don't
is.
do a lot of the switching over. And my son stole my PlayStation.
Oh,
A
I've
couple
beaten the original twice
That's
and
a
all
great
the
game.
DLC,
That's a sensational game.
and my kids have beaten it at least 2 or 3 times each and all the DLC. So I'm stoked for this one. It looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. The trailers keep getting better and better. I don't have the issues a lot of people do. I know that sounds weird for me to say I don't have issues with something yet. Yet.
Are
Um,
you a completionist when you play those games, or do you just like power through the story?
it depends. That one was so much fun to play. I was.
Yeah.
Um, I can't get some other stuff. I have trouble even just getting through the game. So like Jedi, whatever it was, this new one. I it's so and same thing with Harry Potter. They're so grindy to try and get through, and like my time playing games is limited to like here's my hour and a half that I have.
My suggestion for you with the Jedi game is to just play it on the story or easier mode and don't worry about like trying to like play like, oh, I gotta be a badass gamer and play it on the harder mode.
Oh, I don't do hard modes. I just
So easy
don't
to
have
play.
I like to be a completionist. I just don't have time.
The,
So
I didn't complete the Jedi game. I did a bunch of side stuff, but I basically was going for the story, and the story's really long, and there's a lot of good stuff in the story, and I can see them pulling that into the TV or movie medium at some point.
yeah.
We'll see.
Well, they already did, right? We got more of the Jedi memory stuff in Ahsoka.
We
So
did get some of the Jedi memory stuff, but I'm talking about the Mortis and not the Mortis. Is it the Mortis?
nope, those are
No,
the ones from Clone Wars that were closed out
yeah, it's
Ahsoka.
not the Mortis. But the different race that they where they go and what they do in that.
Got it. Charles watched the Winnie the Pooh.
I saw that.
I didn't know that was on Peacock yet. I'll have to catch that this weekend.
I also saw that there was a story that a teacher showed it to her classroom.
Oh, geez.
I have to look that up for maybe next week. But yeah.
Yeah, I'll end up watching that.
Yep.
Charles, let us know how it was though.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of curious. So the stuff I have, I actually printed out paper and
Wow.
brought it home today.
'Cause
Suzanne
we're
Sommer
old.
passed away at age 76.
She did, known mainly for promoting the Thigh Master.
The Thigh Master. People
Did
from our generation will remember her from Three's Company.
Oh, yeah, Three's Company.
And then another generation will remember her from Step by Step. It used to be on Friday nights.
Oh, yeah, it was part of TGIF, right?
Yeah. But the Thigh Master was her big thing.
Which, if any of you are Legends of Tomorrow fans and have been listening to this show for a really long time, you remember me raving about the end of Legends of Tomorrow Season 3, where there is a Thigh Master and a Shake Weight, both
A
used in the big final fight.
Fighting 2. Do you remember the song?
Fighting to the thong song with Cisco there.
Oh,
Yeah,
fuck.
of course. Cisco was put in suspended animation and came out just to sing the thong song on the show. It was fantastic.
Great.
Charles did say that movie is really campy but good, so that sounds like something
Okay.
up my alley.
Yeah.
I'll watch that with the kids this weekend, maybe.
That sounds like a good time.
Or one of the kids.
So Michael Caine, Alfred from the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, and among many other
Where you're
movies.
going? All right.
Well, the first thing that came to the top of my head, okay? He's been in many movies. Over
I was gonna say
100.
the guy from Cocktail, but it's not him. It's the other guy with that same accent from Cocktail.
That is the other guy. So he has officially retired from acting at age 90. Done. He said that no one wants to see a 90-year-old lead male. He said that he's gotten accolades and he's been praised for being a leading man in the past, and he's done. His final run on screen is going to be in Oliver Parker's The Great Escaper, is a biographical film about a World War II veteran, Bernard Jordan, breaking out of a care home to attend the 70th anniversary commemoration of D-Day in 2014. The film was actually released on October 6th. Now that I know that that's what it's about, I actually might watch that because it sounds kind of cool.
So an 89-year-old leading man, totally cool.
Right. 90
Once
is
he hits 90, they're out. He's like
once,
everybody's going to be out.
right. Nobody wants to see a 90-year-old, but 89 is okay.
But now he's going to be an author.
Is he? That I didn't
Yeah,
know.
that's his new thing. He wants to just write now. He wants to be
Oh.
look. The guy is still completely with it
Oh yeah.
and gets around incredibly well.
Oh, absolutely. I've always liked him whenever I've seen him in anything. Um, I'm trying to go real fast. I want to see where his first.
His first movie was in 1956, I believe. Was his first acting credit.
Let's see.
Might have been 54, but I think it was 56.
Got 175 credits here.
That sounds about right.
Yep. Let's go. That's the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, the 50s. 1946, he was an uncredited actor. His first credit was 1956 Hell in Korea. He was the national serviceman, something Lockyer.
Oh, did you say 1956? Look at me.
Yes, look at you. Bang, on the money you are.
They talked about him this morning.
I'm sure.
On the news.
I
5:45 when I started watching the news this morning.
Better you than me. I'm trying to see what was the first thing I ever remember seeing him in now that I'm down.
Oh, I bet that would be in the 70s sometime. Probably one of his thrillers that he did that we saw on TV nonstop when it would rerun. Is my guess.
None of these in the 70s sound familiar.
No, you only know him from The Dark Knight.
No. I
feel like that's problematic.
I did see Blame It on Rio in 1984.
Okay, that's
That
that's one. Jaws: The Revenge. That was later, though.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels was the one I was actually thinking of, and I wasn't sure if it was him or not.
He was fairly well known by then.
Can I tell you what one of my favorite Michael Caine movies was of all time?
Yeah.
Mr. Destiny.
Okay, with Jim Belushi.
Jim Belushi. Yes, I love
Great movie.
that movie. Yeah, it's a really. I mean, it's doesn't really hold up. He was also on Deadly Ground with one Steven Seagal.
Yeah, I mean, Alfie is what was his breakout role.
Right.
Back in the 60s.
Yeah, most of the stuff that I've seen him in is like the quirky, weird stuff going forward, like Austin Powers and Batman and Bewitched and stuff like that. But yeah, so he's done acting. And his last movie just came out, and as you said, he's going to be a writer, which is awesome.
Yeah, also famous for playing Scrooge in The Muppet Christmas Carol.
That's right. Oh my God.
There you go. One of his other roles where he has crossed multiple generations.
Bruce Willis. Man. Bruce Willis's family confirmed that his aphasia has rendered him mostly incommunicative, taking away most of his language skills. That's really sad. Right as Hulu was finally able to get Moonlighting to stream.
So, look, it's the unfortunate part is I'm sure he's not going to see a dime from that streaming. So
probably not,
because that's why SAG's doing their thing right now.
Yeah, that actually pops me in. The actors. So the actor strike is still ongoing now. So there were talks earlier in the week, last week, and they broke down. One of the bigger points with that is the companies are refusing to protect performers from being replaced by AI and have rejected proposals from SAG-AFTRA. This one doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon right now.
No, and that's at the same time that we find out that Robin Williams in the Disney 100 was not AI.
No.
But was all taken from old clips of him, which they still have complete rights to do.
Yes.
There was somebody else in outside news from an AI standpoint, but related to video games, a Polish voice actor who is
Yes.
Cyberpunk 2077. Is that right?
Yep. Yep. You're right.
He for the sequel or a DLC, and I think it's the sequel. They completely took his voice from AI. Got family permission. He passed away last year,
Yep.
and they completely recreated his part from AI, and that's what everybody's concerned about.
Yeah, I heard that video game is absolutely sensational too. Um,
I've heard the
but
DLC is great. Like the
yeah,
DLC, the original launch because it was so glitchy did not go well, but then they ironed it out and it's been
no,
great ever since.
they did a No Man's Sky. They completely fixed it.
Yeah.
But the Bruce Willis thing is really, really sad. It's terrible because I was a huge fan of Bruce Willis. As I've said, I think we mentioned it before. I owned the cassette Return to Bruno,
Yeah.
Return of Bruno, where he did his singing, his harmonica. The Comedy Central roast of Bruce Willis was phenomenal too.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's always brought his own thing to every role he's done. That and a lot of it up until towards the last 10 years or so was that personality he brought through on Moonlighting.
Yep.
And
Yep.
just that comedic action timing that hadn't really been done
No.
that way before. It was always either muscle bound guys or comedies, and he found this great blend of both that really made him endearing.
And in the last like 3 years, he churned out as many movies as he could.
Yeah, look, and once we found out why, I mean,
Right.
good
It
for
makes
him
sense.
that he was able to. And hopefully that makes sure that everybody's taken care of in his family for years to come.
Best Buy is going to stop selling Blu-rays and DVDs in early 2024, both in store and online, but they will continue to sell physical copies of video games.
It's an interesting choice.
It's interesting because I read somewhere else that Netflix is opening a brick and mortar store. Like I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not like Best Buy unless they're going to start downsizing. I don't know why they would do it. It's not like that takes up that much space in their locations,
It used to
but
be.
maybe it does in their warehouse.
It used to be a couple aisles worth of stuff because I remember back, obviously back when people were buying them, that's where we would go and we would look through them and all the box sets and
Yeah, and I wonder if they will continue to
wild.
carry like the steel books and things like that, like the special releases that come out. Because there's regularly Kevin Smith's actually getting a release. There's a Clerks steelbook coming out that collects all three Clerks movies
Of course there is.
until he does a fourth one, in a couple
He's
years.
never doing it.
Right.
No. Now it's interesting, but I don't mean they can always just put more Amazon stuff in that space, more Alexa stuff or
Yeah, I mean, look, it's they're not the same when you walk in anymore. Anyway, there's no stuff to play with because the smart home stuff, it's all the same. It's just different
yeah.
models. But
I used
there's nothing fun to play with in there anymore. I used to be able to walk around for hours.
I used to really like going in and looking at this car stereo stuff. And now that's all just the same. Every car comes with a big screen now anyway, so it's like
And the home phones and stuff. Remember all that? And you have the
yeah,
different alarm clocks to go check out and like,
yeah,
whoa, what style of phone do I want? And now it's just
nope,
here's your iPhone and your Pixel and your Samsung.
pretty much, yeah. Even the video game stuff is a little like little less
Yeah, I don't even know if the demos are all
can't
running
even
half the
no,
time
you
anymore.
can't there's no demo for the V. You used to be able to stand in there for hours too playing the demos.
Yeah. And hey, Ron, hey, Brandon, thanks for hitting that like button. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. I have to mention this because it's stuff, but Taylor Swift.
Oh, I've heard of her.
Yeah, she's the one that's responsible for Travis Kelce being a popular football player. She put him on the map. So the Eras Tour had a very strong opening day, grossing an estimated $39 million, making it the second best October opening day in history. The movie's expected to pull in between 95 and 97 million. The opening weekend of the documentary is projected to outgross the openings of other major 2023 blockbusters, including John Wick Chapter 4 and Fast X.
Look, the number of movie theater screenshots and pictures that I saw this weekend was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it did. Did you know what movie it took out? To
Yeah.
set the highest concert movie grossing?
I forget which that one was.
That's our good friend Justin Bieber.
Exorcist? Oh, Bieber.
That had opened at 75 million. No, it did destroy The Exorcist,
Yeah, it did.
which had actually moved its date to not go out against Taylor Swift,
It's probably a
and she
smart.
still crushed it.
Yeah. Um, you're gonna like this one.
Oh,
You're a big fan of Invincibles.
Invincible.
Yeah, that's what I said. You're a big fan of the Invincible.
Yeah, yeah. I watched the new trailer even.
And I did not watch the trailer. It was the one thing I had queued up today, and then work got busy, and I never went back to it. Like I literally had it. But anyway, season 2 comes out November 3rd, right?
Mhm.
Robert Kirkman had this to say: finishing touches on the last few bits of season 2 are being done right now. Season 3 is very far along. When I talk about the actors that we have for season 2, it's a minefield. There are so many in season 3 that we have to talk about. If you think the cast expanded for season 2, just wait until you hear about who we're getting in the show in season 3. This might give you an indication as to how far we're going. There's just so much big stuff planned. It's possible that there may be some more Walking Dead alums that may be popping into Invincible at some point.
All right. Well, I mean, there's so many Walking Dead alumni that it wouldn't be hard
No.
to have more of them, and people don't even know half the ones that were there because they were all
No,
in
I
the
don't. I
in
have
that
to look
first
them up.
episode with the big fight.
Yeah. Like I will routinely, if I'm watching something on Amazon Prime, hit pause because they give you that X-ray and they tell you who's in the scene.
I know it's
Which is
great.
awesome. I
You
love
should
that.
try that on Gen V when you catch up this weekend.
I don't know who any of those people are except for Clancy Brown.
No, there's more. Then
It,
you'd be like, oh, I didn't know they were from that. Oh, I didn't know he did
right.
that. Oh, I didn't know that was Schwarzenegger's son. You know.
Right. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to Invincible. You got me hooked into that pretty fast. That was an easy watch actually.
Yeah, it's. I'm looking forward to the next season. I still haven't gotten around to watching the Adam Eve special that they dropped a couple months ago. There was a one-off for her.
And you tell me about me watching stuff.
Yeah, I know. What was I thinking? Not watching that.
Where else do I have? Ah, yes. You now I don't have a whole bunch of stuff from Comic-Con in New York that was this weekend. I do have this that you sent me that I actually had on my own. But The Wheel of Time has a season 3 coming out, and they're going to focus on book 4, which is funny because they really didn't do a lot of focus on book 2 and 3 in a way that they left out one of the most major characters of the whole thing so far, and they've stunted some character journeys that didn't happen. But the bard Tom Merrilin isn't the Gleeman Tom Merrilin hasn't shown back up yet, or is he going to show up? Maybe he's dead. Not
Did he
sure.
show up to begin with?
He did. He was in season 1.
Okay.
He was in season 1, and he stopped and fought a fade. And
Oh,
left
yes, yes, yes.
and then his fate was left up in the air as if everyone assumes that he died. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. If you've read the book, you know what happens. You know if he did or he didn't. But it looks like they're gonna focus on book 4 a little bit more in season 3, and they're gonna bring some of the Forsaken into the fold earlier than they are in the books, which their showrunner Rafe Jenkins said because he likes them and thinks they're good villains, and I'm okay with that as long as you don't lose more beats of the story, and as long as you please make sure that you cast Elaine's 2 brothers because that they're very, very important characters in the show.
Yeah, look, I don't. I think you even said for the most part their casting has been fairly spot on.
It has been. It's been great.
So I would assume we will get good choices for these characters. But you know, I don't know when we're finally going to have this strike done that they can start filming.
Well, right. Now, I don't know how it works. I'll look this up for next week about how it works with the actors, but I think there are some actors that actually can still work even though they're on strike, depending on the way certain unions fall or something.
It depends on where they're from and what union they're part of. I don't know where the Wheel of Time, if that is a SAG-AFTRA show, because most of the actors are not American.
No, and it is filmed over in, I believe it was Czechoslovakia is where they film a lot of
Yeah, they filmed in a couple different places.
Right.
And I don't know if that falls same as I would assume the Rings of Power show does not fall under the same requirements as most of the SAG after stuff because like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon was able to
Yes.
continue filming and actually finish filming their season while everybody else has been on hold.
Which
And I
is
think
great because then we get that House of the Feet back again.
sure, can't wait.
House of the Foot Fetish.
It'll be fine. I can't wait to see what happens to that kid that fell off the dragon if he got saved or not.
Um,
Spoilers. New York Comic Con, yeah. So there's not a lot of regular news. There's a lot of comic book news, thankfully, that actually came out of it because we were able to focus on that instead of all the TV reveals and things like that and movie reveals. There was a little bit of Walking Dead stuff. They did give a new trailer
oh,
for the latest Those Who Lived, I think it's called, or Those Who Survive, or one of those things for Denai Guerrera and Andrew Lincoln's characters for Rick Grimes and Michonne. So we got a little bit more of that. They also gave another trailer, just a quick 30-second sneak peek of Daryl Dixon season 2, which is called Book of Carol, which looks great already. There's a stinger that doesn't spoil anything, but it has Carol at the end of the season. And it sets that up for the next season with her being an equal part to Daryl on the show, which will be great. The two of them are phenomenal. Have been shipped forever. I don't think either one of them make it very far in the actual comic book, so the characters have really just gotten to be fleshed out completely from the show. Well, Daryl's not in the comic book at all, and became the most popular character on the show. He's supposed to be like a handful of guest appearances for Norman Reedus, and he was so popular that he's been on the show and got his own spinoff, while everybody else isn't working anymore.
I actually like when that kind of thing happens with a character.
Just not in Wheel of Time.
No, well, no. What I was going to say was it happened twice in Smallville, where Lionel Luthor wasn't actually a character in Superman canon up until Smallville, and they actually made him a comic book character. Same with Chloe; they didn't have her as canon, and once she transferred over to the comic book.
What they should have done with Chloe at some point during Smallville, though, was have revealed that her parents' last name was Lance, and she was Dinah Lance.
That could have been cool.
And then Green Arrow and Black Canary were together. That would have tied it all together.
Right.
I mean, we got our other. I forget who it was that played Black Canary on there. It's your girl,
Elena Huffman.
How did I know that you would know who it was?
I do.
Frank should add The Walking Dead to his list. Unfortunately, there's zombies in it, and he is anti-zombies.
You have a better shot at me watching 27 seasons of Supernatural.
Yeah, you do. There's only 11 seasons of The Walking Dead, and Fear the Walking Dead starts this week, so you'll get the recaps of that every week going forward.
Look, I am happy to let you run with all that stuff.
Morgan and Lenny James's Morgan's gone, but Madison's back. So
I know Lenny James.
You also know Madison.
I know Lenny
Kim,
James from Jericho.
Kim, what's her name? Kim from Sons of Anarchy and Deadwood.
Oh, Kim. I know who you mean.
Yep, her.
Yeah,
she's back. Oh.
Yeah, no, Lenny James was in Jericho.
Yeah, he's also a voice in some couple dozen games and stuff.
That?
He was the longest running character on The Walking Dead. Because he was the only one of the first episode that was still around until the break for Fear the Walking Dead this year.
He was one of the longest running characters in Jericho too.
Yeah, weren't they all?
Season and a half, 2 seasons. Do you have anything else from the Comic-Con world?
No, I mean there was just a lot of there's some animal focused thing that Marvel's rolling out. That I saw where it's Claws. I don't remember what it was called now. Infinity Claws or something like that. They're doing
okay.
Where they're doing all anthropomorphic takes on the comic characters.
Okay.
Charlie Cox wandered around the convention. Dressed as Bluey.
Nice.
So nobody knew that he was there.
That's awesome.
I did see that. Let me see. There was a couple other things that I saw from Comic-Con. I always appreciate that when the guys go and do the cosplay, so they actually are able to walk around.
So do I. I love that too. Didn't the chick that plays the armor actually walk around as the armor from the Mandalorian?
Emily Swan, right? Yeah, I believe so. Our Flag Means Death also dropped. I'll start giving reviews on that again soon. There was a panel for the new Percy Jackson show, which I don't know how they pulled that off, unless it was just the possibly writers and the producers and things talked about it.
So there
There's
were like,
also, for anybody that is a Goosebumps fan from back in the day, there is a new Goosebumps show to launch October on Disney Plus starring Justin Long, which looks kind of fun.
will he be Tusk?
We'll see. We'll see if it gets to that point. That'd be kind of crazy. There's some new stuff about the Apple TV Plus show Monarch: Legacy of Monsters with Godzilla and all of them. That's going to be launching soon. That dropped there, and that's most of it. Strangers is getting a trilogy of new movies, which I'm
Nice,
sure Charles will appreciate.
nice.
We also got our first look at Orphan Black Echoes, which Orphan Black should still be on your list before The Walking Dead, Frank.
It's right. It's right
No
between.
zombies.
It's between Walking Dead and Supernatural.
Still one of the best shows ever put on TV,
You
Orphan
said
Black.
you have said that.
But the new one stars Kristen Ritter.
Oh, I like her.
So I'm excited to see her stretch and get to see her as more than just the moody drunk that
Yeah.
she was in Breaking Bad and Jessica Jones. So, and get kind of spreading her wings a little bit. I hope they do that the same way they did with Tatiana Maslany on Orphan Black for the 4 seasons it was on. But that was about it. Like I said, a lot of the New York Comic Con news was comic related,
Yeah.
which unfortunately, since I am part of the Marvel Unlimited, the pro package, I'm still at least a month behind on all my comic book news. So I
Oof.
try to avoid that stuff to not spoil when my titles do actually drop on the app.
Right. So I don't have anything Star Wars for a change, and nothing DC. The rest of this is all pushed in on Marvel. Kevin Feige said, and I couldn't find any more to back up this quote, but this is off a Variety article that he said, "We've barely scratched the surface." Kevin Feige reflects on Marvel Studios' impact since Iron Man. "We've barely scratched the surface. 31 movies, 25 TV shows, and nearly 30 billion in revenue made after 15 years, and they've barely scratched the surface."
Well, I think it's only 10 shows that were canon, though, right?
Well,
Ish.
no, most of those shows are canon. I think those are the ones they're counting. It doesn't list them, so I just
Yeah, that I think that counts the Netflix shows and the animated and all that. The Spider-Man freshman year that's been coming out for the last 6 years already that we still don't have an animation.
2000
Um,
X-Men.
Look, I agree. I mean, look, the we still don't have the first family of comic books there, which there has been,
No
God,
news.
probably 700 issues at this point, if not 800 issues of Fantastic Four.
And there's no news because of the strike. If the strikes hadn't happened, you'd probably be further down that process, and I'm sure that they have stuff
Yeah,
noted and
Matt
written down.
Shankman had said about it. Look, I wish the strike wasn't going on. We're back in doing writing work now and the producing and all those things. He's like, but we can't make any announcements, obviously,
Right,
until
right.
the strike's done. Look, and the X-Men stories. That my concern with the X-Men stories is all we're going to do is get another retelling of all the same stories we got a retelling of in X-Men the animated series and the first 5 X-Men movies.
Hopefully not. Um,
Well, the problem with the X-Men uh storylines is they involve knowing a lot about the X-Men and
right,
having all the characters introduced and all of the history and the legacy, right? And when you, as we keep finding with the DC and Marvel, when you shortchange that history and the knowledge piece to it, you lose the impact of the story and anybody actually caring about it.
yeah.
Right? Like when you introduce a character just to kill them off and then try and act like, oh my God, this is such a huge motivation for this character. And you're like, is it? You get Secret Invasion when you try and do that and do like, oh my God, there's such this rich history around everything. And you're like, but you didn't ever tell me a rich history around it. And like, I kind of remember the 3 episodes from the Clone Wars, let's say, for instance, that had the father, the son, and the daughter.
Right.
I don't really remember it enough to be like, oh my God, what a huge reveal. I'm like, okay, cool. I guess they're going to do that. which has been a lot of the responses to Marvel for the last few years.
It has, and I was going to mention this in a couple of minutes, but I'm going to jump to it. What Dom said now. Dom asked us our thoughts on the reports of Secret Wars being a soft reboot for the MCU. So I actually have something on that, um, speaking on the Watch podcast, author of new Marvel book, MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios, Joanna Robinson, who does a bunch of different podcasts and was doing a Game of Thrones one that I really enjoyed for a little while. She dropped a bombshell that could change the Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline massively. She said, "We have a quote from Kevin Feige sort of implying that like Secret Wars will serve as a soft reboot in which they can prune everything. That's not to use a Lokiism. They'll prune everything that's not working and just keep what is working or bring back people you thought were gone forever." Uh, what she continued on to say was, um, as the MCU spilled over into streaming programs and the multiverse saga, Feige had to learn different lessons from the comics, how superheroes periodically needed to be rebooted, how to stop variants and spin-offs from spiraling out of control, how an annual mega crossover event could unify a disparate line of characters. What do you think about them softly rebooting and kind of getting rid of the stuff that's not working?
Um, I'm f- I'm fine with it, but I don't know how they could do it because unlike in the comics where you're like, I want to write this character, now you have to pay somebody to come be that character,
Right.
and pay all of those people to come do that piece to do the reboot. And I mean, look, we've established over the years that um, the actor makes or breaks the character sometimes. So
Absolutely.
as we've seen with Batman over the years, sometimes they cast well, sometimes they don't. Same thing with Superman, right? Sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's Brandon Routh. Um,
Hey, I like that.
hey, um, or it's Clooney's Batman.
I like
Um,
him too.
yeah,
I get what you're saying now. No, I understand what you're saying.
right, but so like, and if you cast wrong, do you then do another reboot because those movies were all technically the same Bruce Wayne back
Right.
then, but
I
but we also saw diminishing returns there, and they weren't trying to do this big crazy.
so if they're going to bring back characters and like you said, it costs to put these actors in roles. Let's say Secret Wars is coming out in 10 years. Let's say we get an older Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr. They want him to come back and do a cameo. A cameo for Robert Downey Jr. in 10 years is going to cost you $50 million.
Mhm.
Easily.
That's what I'm saying. Like all of those cameos.
Yes. Anybody from the original Avengers is going to cost you a ton of money for a cameo, except Chris Hemsworth.
I think we'll get Evans back in not too long
I,
because he's still young.
he just got married.
Yeah. So he's
It
gonna
might
have
be. I
look,
don't know.
he's gonna have alimony to pay in no time. So he's gonna have to gonna
Dom,
have to do some work there.
Dom asked what our favorite X-Men characters are. I I don't know really who my favorite X-Men. I've always liked Magneto. I really have.
Okay. There was a time when I would have said Scott Summers, but the comics the last like 15 years have done him so dirty and made him such a dick
Uh,
that it's not worth it anymore.
oh, good.
I'd love to know who Angie's favorite X-Man is.
I would love to know who Angie's
Now
favorite.
that she has hopped into the chat here.
Uh, no, but who?
But my actual character was probably always Hank McCoy. I always enjoyed him, and he crossed over out of X-Men into a lot of different things.
Okay,
However, the comics have also done him insanely dirty now.
really.
So there's nobody really left who's probably Colossus, but I feel like they've done him dirty here and there too. So it's really a toss up. Like my era of X-Men, they've destroyed most of those characters because they keep having to put them through just insane situation after insane situation and make them darker and darker and darker over the years, and it hasn't gone well for them.
I liked the
Um,
Iceman from the Spider-Man cartoon when I was younger.
y- okay, from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Yes.
Have you rewatched that?
No.
So problematic.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Everything about it,
I can't imagine that holding up.
From Miss Tiger, which is the dog,
Oh.
to so many things. Like right away at the gate, I'm like, oh, yep, can't
Um,
still watch this.
there's a story that did come out of Comic-Con from Matthew Vaughn
Hmm.
that's actually really interesting because I wonder how many times this happens. So Matthew Vaughn quit X-Men: The Last Stand after discovering there was a plan to trick Halle Berry with a fake Storm script that would be trashed after she signed on. So he went into the offices and there was this big thick script on the table and he said, "What's that?" They said, "Don't worry about it." And he grabbed the script and looked at it, and the opening of the script um he said, "Open it, the first page," and it said, "Africa, kids dying from no water, and storm creates a thunderstorm to save all these children." And he said, "Wow, that's actually a really good idea. What is this?" And he said, "This is basically because Harry Bailey, we want her to sign on, so we're gonna have her read this, and once she reads it, we're gonna throw it out and give her a new script." Like, what the hell? I guess that's common?
Probably. Hey, look, was that Kevin Feige? He was a producer on those. Just
No,
saying.
that was well, it doesn't say who.
I know it was Matthew Vaughn that was this, but that Kevin Feige was involved in those original X-Men movies.
Doesn't say, but that's why we got Brett Ratner and Vaughn came back and did X-Men's First Class.
Yeah. Angela says Nightcrawler is her official response. Well played,
Okay.
Angela.
That's a good call. I like that.
They've done
Um,
some really weird stuff with him over the years too, as they dug into the religious side of his backstory and made him Mystique's kid, and
I like when they play around in the comics.
they did all sorts of weird stuff with that. My favorite run of him was when he was with Excalibur, um, and they did some really cool stuff with him. Captain Britain and Kitty Pryde all joined that.
Um, do you know that Sony blocked a villain from being in Spider-Man: Homecoming?
I do, I
Do
do.
you know who the
Um,
villain was?
yeah, I don't know why.
They
Uh,
so apparently they blocked Craven, the Hunter.
in Homecoming, you said? I thought it was
No,
in No
not
Way Home.
Homecoming. No Way Home. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
saying.
know why you would put him in there.
Apparently, the inclusion of Craven would allow for a classic Spider-Man adventure with a darker and more mature tone, fitting the character's development and providing fans with a desired storyline. It was pretty dark. It's pretty
Yeah,
dark
I
places.
don't think you bring. I don't think that was the movie to bring in a character nobody knows.
No, neither is his own solo movie, but that's a whole nother story.
No, God. I mean, look, any Craven would be better than the one it looks like they're going to put on the screen for.
Um, and the Marvels is opening soon, right? It's very soon.
Yeah, a couple weeks. I keep seeing that the name is not the Marvels anymore.
No, this says the Marvels because this
I,
says the Marvels early box office projections are 72% worse than Quantumania.
yeah, that's why they started trying to give away the cameos in the trailers now.
Okay, I'm not even gonna watch the trailer
The
now.
latest TV trailer that if you had watched any football this weekend,
Yeah.
you would have seen the latest Marvels trailer that
Uh,
hints at a
no.
character coming in at the end. I don't know who. We'll see if it's who they said or not. I don't know that it
I
will be.
I want to see this movie. I'm very excited to see this movie because I think it's going to be a good movie. But
It's going to tank at the box office.
it's probably going to tank. You know what? There are a lot of movies that tank at the box office and do well on streaming now. That
Yeah,
end up
but what's
being
well
good.
at streaming anymore? They do well at video on demand, but
Yeah.
like now that we have Disney Plus, stream kind of screws everything up.
I'll t-
Speaking of that, though,
I'll know how bad the Marvels is by how fast I get it on Plex.
it's fair.
If I get it on Plex in the first 2 weeks, it's gonna be a bad movie at the box office.
But given our time constraints
Yeah.
tonight,
Yes.
and we were talking about streaming there, and you did actually watch something this last
I
week.
did. I did. I
So
did.
Loki season 2, episode 2.
Yes. I
Breaking Brad.
Great name.
What did you
Great name.
think?
I think that they made Thanos irrelevant the way they were talking. They tried to make it seem like pruning all of those timelines killed trillions of people more than what they didn't say more than what Thanos did. I don't think they did. but more than Thanos' snap, and we're supposed to care about all these people we don't know. That's the thing that I took away from this episode.
Yeah. Look, and yeah, I mean the thing is with Thanos, it's because it did get people that we know, right?
Right.
As well as half of all existence. But if you're pruning timelines, you're pruning all of existence multiple times,
Correct.
and because we didn't get, for example, what would have been cool with that if it was an Arrowverse style, and you use this to prune the old X-Men movies and the old Fantastic Four, and you watch all of them like fade away when they prune it, that would have been amazing.
Right. Right.
However, we did not do any of that.
I didn't hate the episode. I thought the episode was pretty good overall. I thought the retcon about what Loki did with the Mind Stone and knowing it was the Mind Stone was a little weird, but
Look, they want him to be a superhero, like a good guy, so bad.
yeah,
And
they
they're
did.
like, "Hey, I was just having a phase and mad at my brother and my dad, so I would attack New York. I
Right.
wasn't a bad guy." It's like, oh, for fuck's sake! Like, it's okay to have a bad guy be a bad guy. That's why I wish this show wasn't about Loki. I love
Well,
Tom Hiddleston. I think he's great.
there's a possibility of a season 3, so
Right. And like I said, I really like Tom Hiddleston and I like the character he's playing. I just wish he was playing Loki in this show. I did appreciate, and I don't know when he got his powers back, but the fact that he had all of his powers this episode,
yeah.
which I thought he lost like last season.
The trolling that's going on right now.
It's amazing. I love it.
As I sit here in my Phillies shirt and told that I don't like baseball is wonderful. I love my friends so
they're
much.
great. See, but they know that I love baseball, so that's all
I
that matters.
I will pull next week the Easter eggs and the things that are good about the episode. I'll pull that all next week to talk about this week's episode. But did you like the episode overall?
I thought it was fine. I now I understand based on this episode why they're going to go have to find Victor Timely, because they lost He Who Remains, so they have to go find a variant now to go reset their little machine
Right, because
in the
they need
basement,
his
and that's the one they're going to try and get. And Victor Timely's going to be a good guy, and blah blah blah. And then something they do is going to turn him into Kang. Blah, blah, blah. Nothing predictable at all is going to happen in this season, I'm sure.
they're gonna save everything in the nick of time.
But we made like Ki-Hu Kwan, like, hey, I wrote the handbook and I'm the one that designed everything, but I didn't design this one thing that I should have been the one that designed.
Right.
So that's where you got. And yeah, look, and the one Easter egg or two that were pretty cool were the ones in the movie theater, because you did get Kamal Nanji's character from Eternals.
Yeah, I saw
Was an
that.
Easter egg in the movie theater, and it was really a shot at Scorsese for what he bashed everything for,
Yes.
with the way they did this Zaniac character kind of making fun of the more serious movies and things like that, and the way actors act and all those pieces. But I didn't really remember that character that well from season 1, so it lost a lot of gravity to me.
Wasn't he in the first episode?
For like a second.
Yeah, that's all I remember of him too.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I want to see where we end up going, but I'm still not like thinking it's a great show, but it's better than season 1 was so far. The McDonald's stuff was cool.
Let me ask you this before I
That's
go
a
to
good one that Ray that Frank did leave out of today's
I
episode.
did not. I actually mentioned it last week. We mentioned it last week.
Did
What
we?
about I totally forget what I was going to say. Oh, 2 episodes into Loki compared to 2 episodes into Ahsoka. What's better?
Oh, Loki's better than Ahsoka. But like I said, I don't dislike the show. I just hate that it needs to be Loki.
Right.
I would have loved this show with any other Phil Coulson. Would have loved this show just as much. And now you realize how good this show would have been with Phil Coulson. Is that
Absolutely.
would have been great.
As it's being said in the chat by what's his name is Ray from Split Decision. He wants us to talk about the Daredevil firings by Marvel. We did mention this last week, but I would like to bring it up again. They fired the whole staff.
And Vincent D'Onofrio is like supporting it.
Well, the story must have been really shit if he's supporting it.
He is not saying anything bad about it. He is even leaving X at this point.
Is he really?
Yeah. He's like, I'm finally doing it. You've heard me talk about it for a long time. I'm out. But he did say, look, you don't know what's been going on behind the scenes. You don't know how these reactions have been. You don't know
Mhm.
what's been going on there. So we ended up deciding to put the best story forward. And like
Right.
he didn't have to say anything, but he
No,
felt the need to say something. So I feel like it probably wasn't great. And maybe Feige's going to bring in the showrunners from the old show
I
instead of new
really hope
people.
so because they were gonna as we mentioned last week, the opening scenes of the show were gonna tell them about how they killed off Foggy and Karen.
Yeah. Look, maybe they come back. I would love it.
Well, maybe she comes back in the True Blood reboot. Oh, wait.
Look, you don't have to keep her long if you're doing the
Oh!
storyline right. But in the comics, I mean, Karen was like the love of Matt's life. Um,
Okay. Not
and
She-Hulk.
actually, that show is a great example, and what they're doing with it of what they've done with Daredevil in the comics. Because speaking of reboots of characters, I just got done reading the last 60 years of Daredevil comics, and they do the last like 20 years or so, they've done almost full reboots of the character every like 5 years.
Okay.
One creator comes on, and then when that creator leaves, it like resets it, and the next one comes in, tells a completely different story, and like resets Matt Murdock and his whole history, and then another creator comes and does the same thing, and they do it every couple years and launch a new series. And I think Marvel's been doing that a lot more lately, so I don't have a problem with the show doing that
No.
and having the character still continue, in some of the side characters, but you can tell a totally different story.
Right.
I just don't know if you're going to get mass
Now,
buy-in on that the way
with
that you do.
with what this guy Ray is saying, um, that looks like he's is he playing a guitar, I think, with a big green background? Oh, that's cool. With
I think
what
he's getting hugged by the fanatic is what it
it
looks
looks
like.
like he's being hugged by the fanatic. He probably that's that. So they did. John Barenthal probably will have a bigger role in this because there was some copyright or some trademark filings. Um, there's, there's some copyright or trademark filings that with him and being in this show. And again, I don't have it in front of me because I'm unprepared for class. I wasn't expecting this famous guitar player to pop in and start talking about Marvel and questions tonight. It's great before the Phillies game.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like some guy from Weekend at Bernie's, but I don't know. I don't know
I
if you ever
You know
saw that
what?
movie. It was
I
great. He might
remember
have been Bernie. I don't remember.
it might have been Bernie, but there was longer curly hair back then.
Yeah, that's
Dom,
probably more
you're
accurate.
such a
Yeah,
troll. You're horrible. You're horrible. Go Diamond. You're a horrible person, Dom. Horrible.
he is. But
Uh,
he's also a Giants fan, so I think
he's
he's 1-5, so it's fine.
he is. But that's it. Like I said, next week we'll go into the nitty-gritty details. Um, we'll go into the nitty-gritty details about Loki and a possible season 3, and we'll kind of recap the both episodes with the Easter eggs and stuff. But because the Phillies game is starting in about 10 minutes from this time, um, we can kind of dump out of here and
Yeah, and hey, if you jumped in late, make sure you go download the podcast wherever you get your podcast, whether it's on iTunes or podcasts or Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you got to go, and drop us a like and a rating and tell a friend. And thanks for finding the Geek Spot.
thanks.